When?
March 14th, 1913.
1913. Had your family been here for long before that?
They moved here, I'd say, approximately 8 or 10 years before that.
Uh-huh. And where did they come from?
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
From Chattanooga. And what was their name?
Smith and Lucille Thompson.
That's right, you're a junior. What brought them to Muncie then?
Work.
Do you know? Work? Where?
I think he went to work at Broderick's when he first came.
Broderick? Uh-huh. They were one of the first factories I'm discovering that had job opportunities for Negroes, at least so it seems to me. Is that?
As far as I know, yeah.
He worked there a long time?
I think altogether he worked there about 15 or 20 years.
Where did you live then?
Tell you the truth, I wasn't here then. When he moved here.
Yeah, well, where did you live when you were a youngster?
Lived on Clerk Street. I don't remember the exact address. Warner Gear has had the street abandoned and built a factory around it now. Doesn't exist anymore. Lived on Pershing Drive, 608 South Beacon.
What school did you go to then? Grade school?
Grade school, went to Jackson School.
Jackson School. Were there many Negroes there?
Yes, it was in a sort of fringe area, and there's quite a few. Yeah, I'd say maybe at least 30%.
And from there you went to?
Garfield, Wilson Junior High, and Central.
Now, I remember coming across your name.
I didn't go to Blaine.
I remember running across your name in old Central yearbook. At least in 1930, you were playing football there. As I understand it, Negroes hadn't been playing football for Central for very long at that point.
You said they had or had not?
No.
No.
Were you among the first, or were there some before you?
Oh, there was a few that I know of before me. Willie Folks, Alonzo McAllister.
Did Folks play football? Yeah. Alonzo and Orville McAllister were.
No. Orville and I were playing the same time.
Alonzo was ahead of you. Yeah. Somebody told me that the football team was integrated under Coach Fisher, that he was really...
No, that's not right. Murray, can't think of his first name now, but his last name was Murray. He had Negro, well, McAllister, Alonzo, Willie Folks. Those are the only two I can think of right now, though. But they played the year before I went up there. And Murray's last year they were playing.
In his last year?
I think it was his last year.
Was that something of a breakthrough as far as Muncie was concerned? I mean, was there opposition to that?
No, I don't really think there's too much opposition, other than the fact that to get on the team, you sometimes had to be better than the other fellow.
I talked to Harvey Scott not too long ago about basketball, and he said he had to stay on the second team for a while. He thought he probably should have been on the first. That was in 1918,
Yeah.
a little earlier than that. And I noticed there weren't any Negroes on the football team in that same period. Although he played football. He said he played some sandlot, some sandlot football, but he didn't play for the Bearcats.
Well, after Harvey, there weren't any Negroes on the basketball team until Jack Mann.
He was about the same time you were.
And well, I think the reason Jack got on, Jack played in the Muncie Monarch. Jack was playing with the Muncie Monarchs, YMCA, branch YMCA team, and the team played the ex-Bearcats. It was a group of Bearcats that had just come out. And the next year, I can't put a pin in the year, but the next year, after they came out, they played the Monarchs in this basketball game out at Wilson Junior High School. And Jack just ran circles around Charlie's Secrets, all state from the year before. And so people of popular demand put him on the team, but people just demanded he be put on.
Who were the Monarchs, the Muncie Monarchs?
It was a team out of the branch YMCA.
That was an all-black team? Who played on that team, do you remember?
Well, there was Jack Mann, Willie Folks, Virgil Grider.
Virgil Grider?
Dick Brown. My brother played with him, Solomon Thompson. Horace Whitney.
This would have been what, about the middle 20s?
This was must have been about 28.
28.
It was the next year after Charlie Secrets graduated from seminal.
I
think it's 28.
The Monarchs win the game?
I don't recall.
Game?
I think they did, but I'm not sure now.
Well, the big thing was that Jack Mann ate up Sechrist, huh? I came across an interesting, to me, phenomenon when I was looking through the old yearbooks. There were Negroes listed and all along. The senior pictures prior to 1930 were, there were scattered all the way through.
They were.
At the end, but in 1930, the senior class, there were 10 Negroes, and they were all right at the end. What brought that about, that kind of change?
Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you.
But you noticed that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wondered why, if it had been that way all the time, then it would be, but somehow I thought maybe it was that there were more. There were 10 in that class, or 11, or something like that, or
9 or 10.
9 or 10. Whereas before there had been 3 or 4, or 1 or 2. And I thought maybe the numbers, the old business of you can have integration until they get to be, numbers get too great, and then white say, all right.
Well, I really couldn't say what was responsible for it. I did notice it, and the fact of the matter is, I hadn't realized that this was the first time they did that. But I did notice it that particular time. See, and the fact of the matter is, my picture is not in there, only in football uniform, and one picture in a game is in there. But just a regular class picture, I didn't have one made.
I'm fine. How's everything down there?
Did being a football player make you a hero? Whatever that means.
Oh, I don't know. certainly made me well known. I don't know about the hero book.
I remember reading, coming across your name in Bob Barnett's column this winter, just after your son's death. And I had just been going through the yearbooks then, so I remembered. Well, what did you play?
Fullback.
Fullback. Did you play on defense too?
You went both ways.
Both those days, yeah. What'd you do then on defense? What'd you play on defense?
Half or a linebacker. And they still, I mean, that's what you'd call it now, but they call it fullback right on. I mean, you backed up the line.
I see. I see. And you played varsity, what, 3 years? Or?
No, I just played, I was 2 years. What
was your experience as an athlete and as a Negro in Central at that time? What kind of... That's kind of a silly question. I don't know how you would answer.
Well, I think I know what you're talking about, but really, it didn't... I wasn't awarded any special attentions or anything for as I could see.
What did you do after high school then?
I stayed out of school a year, and then I went to college at Tuskegee.
You did? And that was in what,
1931.
31. Did you finish up there?
Yes.
In what course?
What course?
Yeah.
Industrial arts, majored in electricity.
This is where you picked up your training? Then
part of it. I had a year and a half in high school under Gilbert Blackwood. I think he died about 2 years ago.
Let's see, when did you graduate from Tuskegee then?
Tuskegee, 1935.
35. Not a good time to be looking for a job. Where did you go from there then?
Well, I went to Washington, D.C., hoping to maybe get a job in some kind of government service. And, while waiting for some of the applications that I'd put in, I took a job with an electrical contractor there, and I worked for him about 4 months. And I had an offer of a job teaching, and I don't remember what town, some town in Alabama, and so I wrote them and told them to, any further correspondence pertaining to the job, they could send it here to Muncie, because I didn't come home immediately after I finished school, and I wanted to visit home, and so I never did hear more from the job. I've been here since.
So you came back here then?
Well, I was already here. I mean, I came here, and I wrote them a letter telling them to, if there's any further correspondence pertaining to the job, to forward it to me here in Muncie instead of contacting me in Washington.
But once you were back here, that was it. Did you notice any difference when you went to Tuskegee between Muncie and the South then, as far as what you could or could not do, and people's attitudes, white people's attitudes, Negroes' attitudes, one or the other?
Well, as far as the Negro attitude, was everybody was friendly. In those days, everybody seemed to be friendly. Being on a college campus, as it was somewhat sheltered from the community life. We'd go to town occasionally, but we were always treated with a fair amount of respect and everything, because Tuskegee, the college there was, I mean, it's really made the town.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not right in the town, but it's
No, it's
about a
just
mile
outside.
from the town.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But it has brought a lot of money into the
Mhm.
community,
Mhm.
which has helped the whole town.
Mhm. Well, what kind of opportunities did you find in Muncie in 1930? Was still 35 when you came back?
35.
Of course, Muncie wasn't as bad off as a lot of places during the Depression.
I don't know about the others. It was bad enough.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a job with Warner Gear as a janitor.
In 35.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Well, they didn't have any but white working on
And
factory job,
or
production
in
lines,
factory,
yeah.
right.
In fact, until pretty recently, that's been the case. Were there any other Negroes working at
Janitors,
Warner?
yes.
Janitor? Yeah.
Two others.
Uh-huh. How long did that last?
Mm,
Dirtier than anyone in the family. But I still want him to look as nice as the rest of us. Found a way? Found something new. New? Bold. Bold is new? Oh, look. New.
I went latter part of 35. I went to the wire mill. Went out to the wire mill. Got a job out there.
Indiana
Steel
and Wire. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. In production then?
No. Well, production, yes. First, when I first went out there, I went to work as a stalker, what was called a stalker in the galvanizing department. And I worked at that job for, several months. And just continued trying to get transferred into the electrical department, which I finally did.
Mm-hmm.
Electrician.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be an electrician there then for how long?
Well, I worked out there for almost 4 years. In 1940, I quit.
Mm-hmm. Did you go into business for yourself then, or?
Well, you might call it that. It was rough. I had a toolbox, about $10 or $15 in those days, $10 or $15 worth of tools. So, but I started.
You started out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Well, how did it grow then?
Slow. I worked until 42. You couldn't get material because priorities,
Mm-hmm.
and World War II was on, and we went into World War II in, I think, in 42.
Really began, yeah.
But the war had started before that.
Yeah.
And so, due to priorities and difficulty of getting material, I had to look for a job someplace else. So I got a job at Durham Manufacturing
Mm-hmm.
As an electrician out there.
Mm-hmm. That last through the war?
Yes.
Then? Uh-huh. Well, did you have in mind to go into business for yourself through there, or was that something you were hoping to do? Or?
No, it just developed that way, really. I was hoping and looking for a better job all the time, really, but it looked like there just wasn't any forthcoming. So after working out Durham till after World War II, I went back into business for myself.
Mm-hmm. That was after the war then. Well, what did you start off with, beside your skills?
What do you mean, by way of
Did you have to,
tools or
yeah, how did you?
equipment and whatnot?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but by this time I had I think it was a 37 Ford panel truck I bought, and of course I had accumulated more tools, and that's basically it.
Who did you do business for when you began?
Well,
Besides anybody you would give it down.
Well, most of my work was residential. Just no particular person, no large business concern or factory or anything like that, just mostly residential.
Mm-hmm. Did it depend on word of mouth or?
Yes.
Most of your customers white or Negro or both?
Most of them are white.
Mm-hmm. I just don't know enough about electrical contracting to ask an intelligent questions.
As I say, most of them customers were white, and I think largely due to the fact that in those days few Negroes had jobs where they could afford to pay anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And my Negro customers were few and far between.
Why don't you tell them that your recommendation came from the Durham? Matter of fact, you see, you worked there for so many years, and you have so many people from the Durham.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's some word of mouth, but I mean, that's, there were 2,700 plant employees out there at the time I was out there.
Oh, yeah?
And in fact, the man came in shop today and asked me, you know, used to work in Durham. I thought he remembered me from Durham.
You were?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you went there in 1940?
42.
That's right, yeah, in 42. Were there any other Negroes hired while you were out there?
Yes.
Did the war bring pressures for hiring? Manpower shortages and that sort of?
Well, no, not really. They, I got in through a pressure act myself. I sent a complaint into the Fair Employment Practice Commission, and they sent a man out of Chicago down here, and he went out there and talked to them. So, in fact, my complaint was against Ball Brothers, Warner Gear, and Durham. But Durham told him to send me back out and have me make out a new application. They had lost mine, so he sent me back out there, and I went out and applied for the job and was employed.
Mm-hmm.
Later, there was several other Negroes employed out there. They did shells, landmines, detonators, and things like this for the Army and Navy. And seemed like at least once a month someone from the Navy or Army was out there giving them a citation for outstanding performance in producing war materials for that department.
Mm-hmm. Well, that then would be the pressure point, their government contracts.
Well, yes, they had to employ Negroes out there.
Well, you had been trying to get a job then with all of those companies, Ball Brothers and what was the other one?
Warner Gear.
Warner Gear.
Mm-hmm.
And they all didn't have any openings for electricians.
No, they had openings. They didn't have them for black electricians.
Yeah.
Carl Mann from Yorktown, who was an electrician around here at that time, he went out one day during this time. He went out one day and applied for a job, and they took his application and they called him that same day and told him come and go to work. I mean, that's one example. I know there were others.
And that was after they're telling you they didn't have anything.
Yes.
Was there any other kind of recourse other than that to file that kind of complaint?
At that time, no other that I know of.
Do you think your action in doing that sort of got a foot in the door as far as any of the other companies were concerned, or even as far as Durham was concerned?
I think so. I feel that I was fully qualified. I had good recommendations, and I did the job, and I didn't have any trouble with the employees. One thing I made up my mind when I went out there that I wasn't going to let any of them get me into horseplay and stuff, and then somebody get mad and I get fired. So I speak to the fellows, talk with them and all that, but it's worth getting into horseplay and stuff, which a lot of times happens in the plant.
So you had to be twice as good as anybody else.
Well, I had to be better than some of them, that's for sure. And they really had, of course, really I wouldn't have had to been near as good as I feel like I was compared to some of them they had out there. But they had some that were sad.
During the war, was there an increase in job availability?
At Durham, you mean?
Well, yeah, first
generally?
at Durham and then generally.
You say after or
during the war itself, yeah.
Well, job opportunities began to open up slowly during the war, not fast. Chevrolet, they had hired a few, but during the war and immediately after the war, they began to step up their employment of Negroes.
Why was that, do you suppose?
Well, mostly because of government contracts. I don't know just how many years after the war, but it must have been in the early 50s. I had an offer of a job at Muncie Gear. They needed an electrician out there, and they wanted a black electrician because they had to have one due to the government contract.
Well, you didn't take it?
No, I just stayed where I am.
Well, by that time, by the early 50s, your business was moving along well enough that you weren't tempted by
That's right.
By that sort of thing. How long did it take you to get more than you could handle yourself?
Well, really by the early 50s, I was employing 3 men, I think.
Who was the first man you hired beside yourself?
Oh, boy.
You remember that? Would that be in the late 40s?
No, I think that would have been in the early 50s. 51. 51.
Was that your first sign of expansion? Or next big step to hire a helper? To hire somebody?
How you mean that now?
Well, I guess that would indicate to me that things are better if you got more work than you can handle yourself.
Well, yeah.
As far as, you employ now?
I've got 5. I've employed as many as 12.
12 at a time. Mm-hmm. Your employees been black or white or mixed?
Right now, most of them are white.
Mm-hmm.
I never made any attempt to call them. Usually, when I can, I get someone through the Indiana Employment Office, and if they look like they'll shape up, well, I take what they send me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's your main recruiting device?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, I was hiring down in Muncie, they have what they call the intern system in their trades. A student will work so many quarters. He'll go to class and work so many quarters there at school, and then he goes out into industry or private business or whatever his field is, and work on job under someone, and they did that for up until I'd say the mid '60s, and for some reason
Back in the 40s when you were hiring them.
in the '40s.
That's right.
It started back there.
46 and 47. Well, see, Kurt was on 48.
That's right. Bedford was here when he.
Yeah,
that's right. That started in the '40s, 46, 47, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, those were my first employees, really. So they had this program, and
built that building over there in the 40s too.
over here,
Yeah.
50s,
52.
52.
The building you're in now?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Build that yourself, or did you? Uh-huh. Things, did you have to seek any financing for it?
Yes.
Did you have any difficulties?
Yeah.
I suppose that's like asking if the sun comes up in the east.
Right.
Would you care to say anything about that?
Well, at one time they had I guess they still have now, it's just a little higher, but they've always had the banks here in Muncie have always had a fixed amount that they would loan to blacks, and you just couldn't get any more.
You could get that. You could get that.
If your credit was good, and and whatever you, like say, putting up a house or a building, if it was worth it, and everything. On regular routine qualifications or standards on that, as far as that's concerned, only just they just had in mind how much they were going to let you have, and that was it.
Tell them about the house in Whiteley, the first house we built in Whiteley.
Yeah, we built a house out in Whiteley. We had intended to move into it, but
I'm talking about how we tried to finance it.
Mutual Home. I went to Mutual Home to borrow. I had the house enclosed. That's the roof on, windows and doors in, outside windows and doors in, and completely enclosed. And I went to Mutual Home to borrow $3,500 to finish it.
When was this now?
Ooh, that was in what would that be?
49.
48, 49, something like that. And they went out and inspected the house, and they agreed that that's about what it would take to finish it. And he said, now, you'll put $3,500 up in escrow here with us, we'll loan you $35. And I told him, I said, now, I have built this house, so to speak, board by board and stick by stick, as I get a dollar or nickel or dime or what have you to put into it, and using my own money, I've built it this far. And if I had $3,500, I would finish it, and I wouldn't be asking for a loan. But they wouldn't budge off of it, so I didn't get their loan. I had been working for O.W. Store and banking with him for, I don't know how many years at that time, so I went to see him, and I told him my problem, and he said, all right, we'll fix you up, and he told Miss Hafner to go ahead and write the loan up and give me the money, and she said, well, we can't do that. It's something that didn't meet banking standards or something. And he told her, said, we don't need to worry about that. Smith Thompson's all right. You just fix it up and let him have it. So we went on to complete this transaction.
What bank was that?
Muncie Banking Company, O.W. Store.
Mm-hmm.
These were left the money for the store scholarships.
Yeah.
About $3 million, $3 or $4 million is what was left for the scholarships.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that to get credit, you really had to know somebody who was white, who had some weight,
And who was willing to lean that weight short.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Of course, he is reputed to be like that. Of course, at the time I didn't know anything about it, but shortly after he died, there was articles in the paper, and which said that there are people that could come to him with all kind of collateral, and he wouldn't loan money to, because maybe their paying habits weren't good or something like that, or he didn't feel like they were the best risk. And then there's other people who could go there and borrow money off of him that didn't have any collateral or anything, because he knew them or would size them up, and he seemed to have an uncanny ability to tell whether a person would pay his loan, pay his debts or not. And he is, well, I mean, the story is that he had done a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
He defended a lot of Negroes. I think he watched him at home in this type of thing. He'd just take it over and just let them pay him whatever they could.
Mm-hmm.
A good number of them.
Mm-hmm. Where was his office?
He was at, I think that's 117 East Charles Street, right where the Merchants National Bank on Charles Street is. They bought the building and banked from his estate when he died.
Well, now you have the same kind of experience with the store, with the building. You needed money to put your business building.
House.
Yeah. No, now later on with this one, yeah.
No, I had borrowed some money. I mean, after that, Mutual Home did make me a loan on, was it this house? Or the shop over there.
Mm-hmm. So you didn't have that same. You didn't have that same.
Well, I wasn't. Well, not as. No, not.
Well, he was more established.
I was more established, and they felt like that maybe they would get their money in.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that.
Mm-hmm. So you built that in 52?
Yes,
Right.
we opened it up in '53.
Uh-huh. You do the building yourself,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much? Mm-hmm.
Most of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm using some men, to help.
Mm-hmm. How many employees did you have then?
I'm not
About?
sure. About
Uh-huh.
four or five.
Mm-hmm. Have you been able to, or interested or able in securing subcontracting with those builders?
Yes, I've worked as a subcontractor for Robert Keller, Bob Keller,